I think I'd like to tell you something of my 77 years. I've had some experiences. At times it seemed very long, sometimes very short. But first, let me tell you about my family. And we've done some movement. I was born in New York, raised in New York, was in the service in the West, then moved to Albuquerque, uh, moved to Maryland, then back to Albuquerque, and here's where we are. It's a great place to be, and I've enjoyed being here. I was born in Brooklyn a little early, before I was expected, so that my mother bore me at home. Uh, Perhaps I was in a great hurry, but that's how it started. My father, Ben Feinstein, came to this country at age 8. He was born near Warsaw, in Poland, then in Russia, and came over with his parents, who lived at first in Philadelphia before they moved to New York. It's interesting that the documents show that when they arrived here, their name was not Feinstein, it was Pollock. We tried to learn what happened, and as far as we can tell, when they moved to Philadelphia, they either bought a business from a man named Feinstein or wanted a good American name and therefore adopted it. Over the years, I've had people call me and say, "We're relatives, we're Feinsteins." And I've said, "No, we're not, because if I don't know you, you're not a Pollock Feinstein." My father, uh, perhaps one of the things which defined him was he was very patriotic. He served in World War I. He was over in northern France uh, with the American Army. I think a highlight of his life was when he had a furlough in Nice and Monte Carlo, and he enjoyed that very much. He was a painter, a house painter. He had a contracting business, and one which was very good until the Depression. Until that time, he and his brother owned several buildings, had a good business, but it all ended during the Depression. His younger brother was not in World War I, was a little too young. He went to law school. My father was very proud of him, and although they had some disagreements and didn't speak to each other for many, many years, at least when my uncle passed away before that, they had reconciled. At any rate, my father was very close to his brother and his parents. He was a very volatile, emotional man with a short temper. In fact, when the family got a car, he was never allowed to drive it because of his temperament. As a youngster, he was a runner and a street brawler. He would enjoy getting to fights. At one time, he had a fight in the street and defeated Benny Leonard, who later became a world champion boxer. He was asked to become a professional boxer, but his mother forbade it, so he never did. My mother was born in New York, lived on a farm for a while. Then her parents had a small candy store in lower Manhattan. Her mother had come from Crimea. Her father had also come from Russia, where he left as a young man to avoid being drafted into the Russian army, which at that time was the equivalent of a death sentence for Jews. They met in the United States. Recollections that my mother had was, I recall her telling me that there were Jewish gangsters who came to that business and to other businesses trying to get money to extort They had bombs, and this was an early recollection of hers. She was deathly afraid of doctors because one day her mother went into the hospital and never came out. So she had this fear of hospitals. Both of my parents were intelligent, did not have much schooling. My mother had elementary school and went to business school for 1 year, was a typist. My father, I think, went to the 5th grade. They were not a happy couple. There were two things I think that kept them together. One was they were both devoted to their children. Well, that was the main thing. And about the only other thing they shared in common was they both loved to read, especially newspapers. My mother spent her time, aside from being with us, she would visit her family who lived in Coney Island. We lived in Brooklyn, further in. My father would visit his family. He enjoyed playing cards and visiting with his family. My mother enjoyed seeing her family, going to shows. Um, while they were kosher at home, they were not religious. My father did not like to eat out. My mother did. So they were very two different types of people. My mother devoted her life to her children, my brother and myself. As an example of this, when I was living at home at this time in college, uh, she would come into my bedroom, wake me in the morning, put a blanket or a comforter around my back, and give me orange juice. Her life was her children. I was fortunate in having two parents who were devoted to their kids. My father was devoted in a different way. He went out every morning to find work. He was proud that during the Depression, he was never on the WPA. I recall one time when I was in college, coming home from a date. I had dated a girl who lived in the Bronx. It was a short-lived affair. Coming home at 5 a.m. in the morning and seeing my father going out to work at 5 a.m. That always, to me, was a very telling scene. I think that the desire that my mother had was that her kids be happy. My father's desire was that we not work hard, not work the way he had to in his lifetime. And as such, when we would ask him in the summertime, can we help you? Can we earn some money with you? He would say, no, if you start earning money, you won't want to go back to school. I guess the proudest day in his life was probably a couple of days when both my brother and I graduated from college, and both of us went to law school and graduated from law school. Those were very proud days for him. For my mother, she was very happy when we married, had children, raised families.